you so much for being here. Would you please, just for this occasion, thank you for coming out on this summer night. You could be anywhere doing anything with your time, but thank you for the investment. Thank you for sharing this evening with us. Before we get started, it's important for us to begin with the land acknowledgement. Seattle Public Schools acknowledges that we are on the ancestral lands and the traditional territories of the Puget Sound Coast Salish people. And give that a moment to rest in. Thank you for joining Seattle Public Schools leadership and the School Board of Directors for beginning this very, very important conversation. I'm your host, Bev Redmond. Some of you may know me as Beverly, but tonight, Bev Redmond, Chief of Staff for Seattle Public Schools. It's an honor to serve you this evening. Please note that we are streaming this session live over SPS YouTube. We have an extended audience that will be able to see the program portions, such as me speaking now and other speakers that will come behind me. And as we begin the table conversations that we're going to have, they'll be able to see those as well as the posts that go up on the boards. So we're wanting to welcome our extended viewing audience on SPS YouTube and to thank SPS TV for making this possible. We also want to welcome our media partners that are covering this and making this particular event well known to people, well known to our community. We thank you. But most of all, what I would like to see coming out of this night is that you feel comfortable to have conversation, that you feel comfortable to put your voice into the room as you're having those table chats. So why are we here? Before we get into that, I want to welcome our School Board of Directors. Any of our directors, would you please stand? Thank you so much for being here. And as I said on Tuesday evening, they weren't standing just for applause. They're here for a purpose. And you will see them walking about the room, listening, actively listening to conversation. They have huge decisions to make, and your opinion, your feedback that they will hear in this room will guide them along the way. So thank you so much, Board of Directors, for being present. On to why we are here. We are here to share ideas, to reimagine our school system, to reimagine in the face of some budget challenges, as we believe we can do this. We can accomplish achieving the best school system for our students, families, and staff. We can get stronger. We can be more equitable. We can be better. We can be better. We must evaluate how to create and to pay for a school system that puts every student on the path to success. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. You'll see Dr. Jones come and address us, and you will also hear from Dr. Rocky Torres, who will also present some information on a concept that we are calling well-resourced schools. The goals for this evening, again, to have conversation and overall to gather your input on schools in order to make some effective decisions regarding major SPS initiatives, such as well-resourced schools, our budget, and on down the line, we will have strategic planning, and also we will be, toward the end of the year, starting a levy conversation. All of this input tonight can be used with your values, your vision to help guide us into those decisions. We've organized a series of 5 engagement sessions that are in person. They're across the regions. We were in the Central District on Tuesday night. Tonight we're here in West Seattle. And then we're going to move across the district. At that end of that 5th session, we will offer an online session on August 29th. Looking forward to having these conversations across our entire school community. The timeline, what is it that we know? You're looking at the screen. I'll move to the side just a little bit. What is it that we know? For the school year coming, 23-24, we've announced that there are no school consolidations or closures. For the school year coming, no consolidations or closures. What you can expect, in addition to this particular engagement session, we will put out a survey as we begin to start school. We will put out another survey. It will go district-wide. This is not the only chance to put in opinion. But you can imagine just as many people as you see here. Look around your shoulders, look around. There are many more that wish they could be in the space. We need to have a way to get additional input. So please be looking for that particular survey as we begin school September 23. In addition, as we compile that information from these sessions, also from the survey, those go to Dr. Jones. Those results will come before him as he has a major recommendation, a major plan to craft. And he will deliver that plan, that recommendation, to be announced in November 2023, so in the fall. Those are the things that we know. I want to give a little bit of a bragging point for Dr. Jones before he comes to the microphone. He is SPS. Born here, has come through our schools, has raised a student in our schools. Day and night, this is his main priority. Making sure that the school system that he knows, loves, continues for generations to come. With that, please allow me to introduce Dr. Brent Jones, the Superintendent of Seattle Public Schools.
All right, thank you all for being here. I know we're between you and seeing the second half of the Seahawk game, taking advantage of the beautiful summer evening, but we have important work to do, and thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I won't be long, but I just want to give a little bit of framing so that when we get started on this really important work, you know what our intent is going forward. So, as many of you know, Seattle Public Schools, as many districts, locally, even nationally, we're at a financial crossroads. And we must evaluate how we create and pay for a just school system that puts every student on the path to success. So when we talk about well-resourced schools, we're talking about how do we ensure our students are on a pathway to success. The hard truth is that as much as we love every one of our schools, when they're under-enrolled, they are unable to provide the sufficient level of staff, services, programs, and opportunities. The lack of enrollment is one of the major reasons that we face a projected budget deficit. $131 million this year and $105 million next year. So we'll address this by making sure that we're developing a system of appropriately funded and what we're calling well-resourced schools. We are here to prioritize and elevate what's most important for your students. Now, we can do anything, but we can't do everything. Let me say that again. We can do anything, but we can't do everything. And so when we go through this process of gleaning your wants and wishes and desires for your students, this is the richness of what we're trying to do to be able to prioritize what we actually can do. So this means that we're going to be using our funding judiciously, being responsible and strategic with the resources available to us to create the schools that have educational choices that our students need and that students want. And as we look ahead to next year and beyond, we're continuing to prioritize creating the safest schools and school neighborhood schools that are robust and have the services that we all want. Well-resourced schools will be places where every student will have the support, the programs, and the services they need to success in the neighborhoods where they live. Again, you'll hear these terms over and over again: services, programs, and schools, the buildings for success. So tonight, we want you to think about what a well-resourced school is, and just know that Seattle is a city that stands by what's right and to stand up for justice and opportunities. So many of you have heard the vicious rumor that Dr. Jones has a predestined number of schools that are going to be closed. How many of you have heard that? Okay, we have some truth tellers in here. The truth is, I don't. We're trying to plan for the eventuality, again, of a balanced budget. But if school consolidations were to come up as one of our options of many things, we would definitely consider it. But that's not the plan right now. So if you're organizing and you have your shirts all ready to go to protect your school, it's a little bit premature, okay? So anyway, I just wanted to clear the air, have a little bit of levity. This is a very serious matter, but this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring us all together across the city to really understand, for you all as community members, as parents, as potential participants in the Seattle Public Schools enterprise, what is it that we want? What's the experience that we want for our students? And so before I turn this over to Dr. Torres, I want to state that my team will work as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible to aggregate this information, to take this information and to build it into a narrative and to build it into a set of priorities that we can all use going forward to develop this system of well-resourced schools. So without further ado, I want to introduce Associate Superintendent Dr. Rocky Torres. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. So I am in charge of logistics for the evening. So I'm going to do a little bit of talking in the beginning just to get us settled as to what are we doing, what's the order of this, and then we'll get into the program. So at each of your tables, there are some facilitators. Their role is going to be to just get the conversation moving. What we're trying to get and what we want to know is story. We want to hear from you all. We need to get that qualitative data as to what is it that we want out of well-resourced schools. So they're going to be at the tables, just encouraging the conversation, asking some probing questions, really getting out what is it that you really want out of our schools. From my end, what I'm going to do is, for each of the 3 topics, we're going to have a framing question. So I'm going to start off with a framing question, and then you're going to have 5 minutes of thinking and writing time. So there's enough Post-it pads around. If you need more, we can get them over. Facilitators, just let us know. But just write your thoughts. What are you thinking? How is this going? At the end of 5 minutes, I'll say, okay, we're done with that. Facilitators, start facilitating conversation. And we'll spend 15 minutes in conversation around that topic in question in table groups. At the end of that, I'm going to just summarize some of the overarching themes we've heard. There's some people walking around. They're just collecting qualitative data as well, what they're hearing, so that we can get some of the themes out for that specific topic. And then, in each of the corners of the room, you'll see these large Post-its. That's where you're going to put your Post-it notes for that topic. So for example, when we have the conversation on buildings, which means the actual physical plant, the actual physical buildings, you want to put your Post-it notes up there. That's very important for us because that's how we're going to capture some of the information and some of your thoughts. So, last piece, there are scribes around as well. So it's not just merely what you put on your notes. There are different people dispersed throughout the room with laptops that are catching some of the conversation so that we can get all of those notes as well for our data. So without further ado, I'm going to start us off with our first question and our first topic. So our first topic is on school buildings and learning spaces. So this is referring to the actual physical buildings like our SPS buildings. Framing question is, what are your favorite things about your students' school building? Once again, what are your favorite things about your students' school building? We'll take 5 minutes of thinking and writing time now.